Stephanie had just finished reading to James when her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Hello? Stephanie. It was Diana Thompson. It's your mother, Diana. We need to talk. I have nothing to say to you. It's about your grandmother. Stephanie's blood ran cold. What about her? She's in the hospital. She had a stroke. The doctors say... Diana's voice actually cracked. They say you should come say goodbye. Stephanie's hands shook. Which hospital? Memorial Hermann, room 502. Stephanie looked at James. It's been days since he showed signs of recovery, and he had been under close monitoring more than before. She wasn't supposed to leave him even for a minute. She was racking her brain on what to do when Eleanor walked in. I have to go, Stephanie said. My grandmother. Go, Eleanor said immediately. James will be fine. I'll be here. Stephanie grabbed her purse and ran. She couldn't see the satisfied smirk on Diana's face through the phone, and she didn't know it was a trap. At Memorial Hermann Hospital, Stephanie burst into room 502, her heart pounding. The room was empty. No grandmother, no hospital staff, no emergency. Just Gwen, sitting by the window examining her nails. Looking for Grandma? Gwen asked sweetly. She's fine, probably beating everyone at bingo. Stephanie's hands clenched into fists. You lied about her having a stroke. I needed to get you here. Gwen stood. Sign those properties back over to me. They're mine. No. Gwen's eyes hardened. Then I'll destroy your marriage. Tell the Monroes you're a gold digger counting down the days until James dies. Do it. Stephanie stepped closer. They're good people. You think they don't know already why I was so desperate to escape? I told them everything. About you. About Derek. About our toxic family. You married a vegetable. Gwen's voice rose. He'll never love you. When he dies, you'll have nothing but money and no one who actually loves you. Stephanie smiled coldly. I'll have Eleanor, Robert, the Monroe family who showed me more love in weeks than you all did in 23 years. I'll have my freedom, my self-respect. She paused. What will you have, Gwen? A family that fears you? Derek who'll betray you like he betrayed me? Does he know about the lawyer's son you were texting? Or the country club tennis instructor? Gwen went pale. How did you... You're not as careful as you think, and I'm not as stupid as you need me to be. Stephanie moved toward the door. We're done. He'll never love you, Gwen shrieked. You're just the help, reading books to a corpse. You're pathetic. Stephanie stopped, turned. You're right. James might never wake up, might never know my name. She stepped closer, watching Gwen back against the wall. But I sit by his bed because I choose to. Not because I want something. I talk to him because no one should die alone in silence. Her voice dropped to ice. You call that pathetic. I call it human. Something you've never managed to master. You'll spend your whole life surrounded by people and still be completely alone. Because no one, not Derek, not Mother, not anyone, actually knows who you are under all that venom. Stephanie opened the door. You're not powerful, Gwen. You're just deeply, profoundly sad. And I finally feel sorry for you. Don't you dare pity me. Too late. She walked out and closed the door on Gwen's scream. Stephanie's hands trembled violently as she stumbled through the hospital corridor and out into the parking lot. Alone. The afternoon sun was too bright. The air too cold. Everything felt surreal. She leaned against her car, pressing her forehead against the cool metal, trying to steady her breathing. Then she pulled out her phone. Her hands shook so badly she almost dropped it twice before managing to dial. Diana answered on the first ring. Eager. Probably expecting tears or apologies. Stephanie, darling, did you and Gwen have a productive... Shut up. Mother. Complete shocked silence. Stephanie had never, not once since knowing Diana, told her mother to shut up. Excuse me? You used Grandma Rose as bait, lied about her having a stroke, made me think she was dying. Stephanie's voice was ice despite her shaking hands. You traumatized me for Gwen's convenience. Again. I simply facilitated a conversation between my daughters. I drove here thinking Grandma was dying. I was sobbing so hard I could barely see the road. Her voice cracked. You did that deliberately. For Gwen. Like you always do. Silence on the other end. Here's what's happening. You never contact me unless I contact you first. You never use Grandma as leverage. You never show up at the Monroe house. Never send Gwen or Father to talk to me. This is ridiculous. If you violate these boundaries, I'll get a restraining order. I'll sell every property Father gave me to the lowest bidder. Maybe that developer Gwen hates who wants to build low-income housing. And I'll call everyone in your social circle and tell them exactly what kind of mother you are. In detail. You wouldn't dare. Diana's voice shook slightly. Try me, please. Because I'm done being your acceptable, unwanted, popped-out-of-nowhere daughter. Your quiet, obedient, don't-make-waves daughter. After everything I've done for you, the sacrifices I've made, the abuse, Stephanie finished quietly. Dressed up in nice clothes and served at a well-set table, but abuse nonetheless. I never laid a hand on you. No, you just convinced me I was worthless unless I was useful. You just stood by while Gwen tormented me. You just made me so desperate to escape that I married a dying stranger. Diana said nothing. I'm done, Mother. Don't call, don't text. If Grandma genuinely needs me, relay it through her facility's staff. Otherwise, we're done. You'll regret this when that man dies and you're left with nothing. I already have everything that matters. Goodbye, Mother. Stephanie Marie, if you hang up this phone, the only thing I'm sorry about is that it took me this long to do this. She hung up. Then, with shaking fingers, she blocked the number. Then blocked her father's number. Then blocked Gwen's number. Then blocked Derek's number for good measure. Stephanie stood alone in the parking lot, phone clutched in her trembling hand, tears streaming down her face. Not sad tears, relief tears, freedom tears. She took a deep, shuddering breath and got into her car, Eleanor's personal wedding gift to her. The drive back to James's hospital felt different, lighter somehow. If you're smiling at your screen now from Stephanie standing up for herself, type freedom in the comment section, like and subscribe, because the man we all have been waiting for is about to wake up. Back at Houston Methodist, Stephanie returned to James's room to find Eleanor standing in the hallway, her face pale. What's wrong? Stephanie asked immediately. His vitals spiked about 20 minutes ago, Eleanor said. The doctors are with him now. Is he okay? They don't know. His heart rate increased, his brain activity jumped, and then everything went back to normal. It's like... Eleanor's voice broke. It's like he was trying to wake up again. Dr. O'Connor emerged from the room. Mrs. Monroe, she said, looking at Stephanie. Where were you about 20 minutes ago? At Memorial Hermann? Why? James's vitals responded as if he was in distress. His heart rate jumped to 140 beats per minute. His brain activity spiked 40%. Then it all normalized when... Dr. O'Connor checked her watch. Right around the time we heard your voice in the hallway. Stephanie's breath caught. You think he knew I was gone? I think he's more aware than we realized, Dr. O'Connor said carefully. Mrs. Monroe, I need you to try something. Go in there and talk to him. Tell him you're back. Let's see if he responds. Stephanie walked into the room on shaky legs. James looked the same. Peaceful, still, breathing steadily. But something felt different. She sat in her usual chair and took his hand. Hey, James, she said softly. It's me. I'm sorry I left. My family, well, the Thompson family, they're still playing games, trying to mess with me. But I'm okay. I'm back now. I'm not going anywhere. On the monitor, James's heart rate increased from 68 to 75, just like the last time. Dr. O'Connor's eyes widened and she shuffled closer. Keep talking, she whispered. I mean it, Stephanie continued, squeezing his hand. I'm your wife, for better or worse, remember? And right now we're in the worst part. But I'm not leaving. You're stuck with me, Captain Monroe. James's heart rate climbed to 82. His eyelids flickered. Oh my God, Eleanor breathed. His eyes moved. James? Stephanie leaned closer. James, can you hear me? His eyelids flickered again. Faster this time. James, if you can hear me, squeeze my hand. Nothing. Please, Stephanie whispered. Please, James, come back. I need you to come back. A squeeze. gentle but unmistakable. Stephanie gasped. He squeezed my hand. Dr. O'Connor rushed to the bed, checking his pupils with a light. James? James Monroe, can you hear me? His eyelids flickered violently now, like he was fighting against 7 months of unconsciousness. And then, slowly, impossibly, they opened. Just slits at first, squinting against the light. But they were open. Oh my God, Eleanor sobbed. He's awake. My baby's awake. Dr. O'Connor immediately started barking orders to the nurses. Page Neurology, get Dr. Patterson down here now, and someone get a respiratory therapist. The room exploded into controlled chaos. But James's eyes, dark brown, confused, unfocused, searched the room until they found Stephanie. He looked at her, really looked at her. And even in his confusion and weakness, Stephanie saw something in his gaze that made her heart stop. Recognition, awareness, and something else. Something that looked almost like wonder. This is where we've been waiting to get. James is awake and he's looking at Stephanie for the first time. Drop a comment saying, he's awake. If you're as emotional as I am right now, hit that subscribe button because what happens next is going to blow your mind. The breathing tube had been removed. James's throat was raw and his voice came out as barely a whisper. Dr. O'Connor leaned over him. James, can you hear me? A slight nod. Do you know where you are? James's eyes moved around the room, the monitors, the IV, the hospital bed. His brow furrowed in confusion. Hospital, he rasped. Eleanor burst into fresh tears. Oh, sweetheart, yes. You're in the hospital. You've been here for 7 months. James's eyes widened. 7 months? You were critically injured in the line of duty, Dr. O'Connor explained gently. You've been in a coma, but you're awake now, James. You're back. James's eyes traveled to his mother, then his father, William, who'd just rushed in. Mom, he whispered. Dad. We're here, son, William said, his voice thick with emotion. We never left. Then James's eyes found Stephanie again. She stood against the wall, trying to stay out of the way, tears streaming down her face. James stared at her for a long moment. Who? He whispered. Eleanor wiped her eyes. James, honey, this is Stephanie. She's your wife. The heart monitor beeped faster. James's eyes went wide. My what? It's a long story, Eleanor said quickly. Don't stress yourself. Wife? James repeated, his voice getting stronger despite the raspiness. I'm married? He looked at his left hand and saw the gold band. Then he looked at Stephanie, his expression a mixture of shock, confusion, and something else Stephanie couldn't quite read. How long? James asked. 2 weeks, Eleanor said. You've been married for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, James repeated. He couldn't stop staring at Stephanie. I've been married for 2 weeks and don't remember it. You were unconscious for the ceremony, Stephanie said quietly. So technically, you didn't forget. You were just not there, mentally. Despite everything, the confusion, the shock, the 7 months of missing time, James's lips twitched. Almost a smile. That's one way to put it, he rasped. Then his eyes started to close. The effort of staying awake was too much. Let him rest, Dr. O'Connor said. He's going to be in and out of consciousness for the next few days as his body adjusts. This is normal. As James drifted off, his eyes found Stephanie one more time. And this time, Stephanie definitely saw it. Wonder. Fascination. Like he couldn't quite believe she was real. James woke up several times over the next 24 hours. Each time, his eyes immediately searched for and found Stephanie. Eleanor noticed. William noticed. Dr. O'Connor definitely noticed. He looks at you like you're a mirage, Dr. O'Connor told Stephanie quietly. Like he's afraid if he looks away, you'll disappear. Stephanie didn't know what to say to that. By the second day, James could stay awake for longer periods. His voice was still rough, but getting clearer. And he had questions. Okay, James said, looking directly at his mother while Eleanor, William, and Stephanie were all in the room. Someone needs to explain to me why I woke up married to a complete stranger. Eleanor took a deep breath. The doctors said you might never wake up. Your grandfather couldn't bear the thought of you passing on alone. He wanted you to have someone, for comfort. So you married me off? James's voice rose, and the heart monitor beeped faster. While I was unconscious? James, calm down. I will not calm down. James tried to sit up, but was too weak. You married me to a stranger without my consent. How is that even legal? It was my idea, General Thomas Monroe said from the doorway. Everyone turned. The elderly man walked into the room slowly, leaning on his cane, his face grave. Don't blame your mother, the general said. I was the one who insisted. I couldn't. His voice broke. I couldn't let you die alone, James. I couldn't. James's anger deflated slightly. Grandpa, the Monroe family has a long history of battlefield marriages, the general continued. Marriages of convenience during wartime. Most times they made a huge difference, made life brighter, made men stronger in battle so they could get home to the one they loved. I thought if you had a wife, someone to fight for, you might. He trailed off. You thought I'd wake up for a stranger? James asked quietly. I thought you'd wake up for someone who believed in you, the general said. And I was right. James looked at Stephanie again. She stood in the corner, looking like she wanted to disappear into the wall. And you, James said, his voice softer now. Why did you agree to this? Stephanie stepped forward. Can we talk? Alone? Eleanor, William, and the general exchanged glances, then filed out of the room. Once they were alone, Stephanie sat in the chair next to James's bed. I'm going to be completely honest with you, she said, because you deserve the truth. She told him everything. Foster care, the Thompson family, Gwen's cruel bet, losing 9 times, Derek's betrayal, the forced choice. I didn't marry you for love, Stephanie said, looking him directly in the eyes. I married you because I needed an escape, and your family needed someone to sit by your bed while you were unconscious. It was a business arrangement. I got properties worth $8 million. They got someone to fulfill your grandfather's wish. James listened without interrupting, his dark eyes never leaving her face. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. So you're a gold digger, he finally said. Stephanie flinched. If that's what you want to call me. That's what most people would call someone who marries a man in a coma for money. You're right. Stephanie stood up. If you want an annulment, I'll sign the papers. You didn't consent to this marriage. You have every right to end it. She turned to leave. Wait, James said. Stephanie stopped but didn't turn around. What's your favorite book? James asked. Stephanie turned back, confused. What? Your favorite book? What is it? I don't have one. I didn't read much growing up. Foster care doesn't really allow for leisure reading. What did you read to me? James asked. While I was unconscious. How did you? I heard you, James said quietly. Not at first, but eventually I could hear voices. Yours most of all. What did you read? Your mom brought Jane Austen books, but Stephanie hesitated. I brought The Count of Monte Cristo. I thought you might like it better. James's expression shifted. That's my favorite book. I didn't know that. But you picked it anyway. James studied her. Why? Because it's about someone who gets betrayed and fights back, Stephanie said. I thought a soldier and police officer who spent his life protecting people would appreciate a story about not giving up. James was quiet again. Then he said, Tell me about the last 2 weeks. What did you do while I was unconscious? I came here every day, helped with your physical therapy, read to you, talked to you. About what? Everything. My childhood, my dreams. Stupid things like the weather. I didn't want you to be alone. Why? Why what? Why did you care? James asked. If this was just a business arrangement, why spend 8 hours a day sitting with an unconscious man? Stephanie struggled to answer. Because, she finally said, somewhere between agreeing to marry you and now, you stopped being a stranger to me. Your mom told me stories about your childhood. Your dad told me about your military service. Your grandfather told me about all the people you saved. And I sat with you every day, and I started to care. About you. About whether you'd wake up. About... She stopped, her voice breaking. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm sorry you woke up married to someone you don't know. I'm sorry your family did this without your consent. If you want me to leave, I'll leave. James looked at her for a long, intense moment. What's your name? He asked suddenly. Stephanie blinked. What? Your full name. Stephanie Marie Thompson. Well, Monroe now, I guess. Stephanie, James said, testing it out. Stephanie. The way he said her name made her heart skip. You're beautiful, James said quietly. Stephanie's breath caught. What? I said you're beautiful. I've been awake for a day and a half, and I haven't been able to stop looking at you. James's dark eyes were intense. So no, I don't want you to leave. And no, I don't want an annulment. You don't? I woke up married to a gorgeous woman who sat by my bed for 2 weeks even though she didn't have to, James said. A woman who read my favorite book to me, who helped with my physical therapy, who cared whether I woke up. That doesn't sound like a gold digger to me, Stephanie. That sounds like someone worth getting to know. Stephanie's eyes filled with tears. I'm still mad at my mother, James added. Furious, actually. But I'm not mad at you. You should be. Maybe, but I'm not. James held out his hand. Start over? Stephanie hesitated, then took his hand. Hi, James said. I'm James Monroe, former Army Ranger, current police officer on medical leave. I apparently like old books, protecting people, and I just woke up from a 7-month nap to find out I have a wife. Despite everything, Stephanie laughed. Hi, I'm Stephanie Thompson Monroe, former foster kid, current... I don't even know anymore. And I apparently married a man in a coma and am now trying to figure out what that means now that he's awake. We'll figure it out together, James said. And for the first time since he woke up, Stephanie felt like maybe, just maybe, this could actually work. If you're already shipping James and Stephanie, drop a comment saying, Team James and Stephanie. Something shifted in Stephanie after that conversation. When James was unconscious, Stephanie had been bold, confident. She'd talked to him for hours, told him her deepest thoughts, even bossed him around during physical therapy. But now that he was awake, now that those dark, intense eyes could actually look at her, Stephanie became a nervous wreck. Good morning, James said when she arrived the next day. Morning, Stephanie mumbled, not quite meeting his eyes. Did you sleep okay? Fine. You're blushing? No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Your cheeks are pink. It's warm in here, Stephanie said, fanning herself. James smiled, a real full smile. It's 68 degrees. The nurse complained it was too cold. I run hot. Apparently. Stephanie busied herself adjusting his pillows, very aware of how close she was to him. You don't have to be nervous around me, James said softly. I'm not nervous. Stephanie. She finally looked at him. Big mistake. Up close, James was even more handsome than she'd realized. Those dark eyes, that strong jaw, the way he was looking at her like she was the most fascinating thing he'd ever seen. I should go, Stephanie blurted. You need to rest. I've been resting for 7 months. Then you need to do physical therapy, or talk to your doctors, or... I want to talk to you, James interrupted. Why? Because you're my wife, and I'd like to get to know you. Stephanie's heart raced. Okay, what do you want to know? Everything. Start with why you're acting different. I'm not acting different. Yes, you are. My mom says you used to sit here for hours talking to me. Now you can barely look at me. Because you're awake, Stephanie thought. Because your eyes do things to me that I don't understand. Because I've never had anyone look at me the way you're looking at me right now. Out loud, she said, It's different now. Why? Because you can see me and judge me and realize that maybe I'm not worth... Stop, James said firmly. Stephanie, look at me. Stop, James said firmly. Stephanie, look at me. She did. You sat by my bed for 2 weeks, James said. You read to me, helped with my therapy, fought off your psychotic ex. You made my mother smile for the first time in months. You made my grandfather believe in miracles. And when I woke up, the first thing I saw was you, the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. So don't you dare say you're not worth it. Stephanie couldn't breathe. I, I need to go, she whispered. She practically ran from the room. Eleanor, standing in the hallway, watched her go with a knowing smile. Then she walked into James's room. What did you say to her? Eleanor asked. The truth, James said. Which was? That she's beautiful. Eleanor laughed. Oh, sweetheart, you've got it bad already, don't you? I've been awake for 3 days, Mom. And you haven't stopped looking at her since you opened your eyes. James didn't deny it. She's different, he said quietly. She's fierce and strong, and she doesn't take crap from anyone. But then I look at her and she gets all flustered and shy. It's adorable, Eleanor supplied. I was going to say confusing, but yeah, adorable works too. So you're not mad about the marriage anymore? James's expression hardened. I'm still furious that you did this without my consent, Mom. That's not okay, but... He sighed. I understand why you did it. Stephanie's special, Eleanor said. I'm starting to see that. Be patient with her, Eleanor advised. She's been rejected her whole life. She doesn't know what to do with someone who actually sees her value. Then I'll just have to show her, James said. By day 5, James could sit up without getting dizzy. He still couldn't walk. His legs were too weak after 7 months of immobility. But his mind was sharp, and he was getting frustrated. I want to take a shower, he told the nurse. A real shower, not a sponge bath. You're not strong enough yet, the nurse said. I can do it. Captain Monroe? Please, James said. I've been in this bed for 7 months. I need to feel human again. The nurse sighed. Let me get Mrs. Monroe. She can help. Stephanie? James's heart rate picked up. I don't think... But the nurse was already gone. 10 minutes later, Stephanie appeared in the doorway, looking nervous. The nurse said you need help with a shower? She asked. I told her I wanted to shower. She decided that meant I needed you, James said. You don't have to... I'll help, Stephanie interrupted. You're my husband. This is what spouses do. But as they made their way to the bathroom, James in a wheelchair, Stephanie pushing, both of them were acutely aware of how intimate this was about to be. Okay, Stephanie said, her voice slightly shaky. The nurse said to leave your hospital gown on and we'll just soap it up and rinse it while you're sitting in the shower chair. That defeats the purpose of a shower. James, I want a real shower, Stephanie. Can you just help me, please? Stephanie's face was bright red. Fine, but I'm keeping my eyes closed. You're going to help me shower with your eyes closed? Yes. That seems dangerous. James, I can't, you're... Stephanie was flustered beyond words. I'm what? You're my husband, and I've never even... we've never, and I don't... James smiled. Stephanie, it's okay. I'll keep the important parts covered. Deal? Deal, Stephanie squeaked. Helping James shower was the most awkward, intimate, nerve-wracking experience of Stephanie's life. She tried to keep her eyes averted, but it was impossible not to notice how strong James's shoulders were, how defined his arms were despite 7 months of muscle loss, how his skin felt warm under her hands as she helped him rinse. You're holding your breath, James observed. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Breathe. Stephanie. She took a breath and immediately caught the scent of his soap. Oh, God. Are you okay? James asked, his voice closer than she expected. Stephanie looked up and found him watching her with those intense dark eyes. They were inches apart. Water dripped from his hair, and the way he was looking at her made Stephanie's knees weak. I'm fine, she whispered. You sure? Because you look like you're about to pass out. I'm not going to pass out. Stephanie, James said softly. Why are you so nervous around me? I told you it's different now. That's not an answer. Because you're looking at me, Stephanie blurted. When you were unconscious, I could talk to you and be myself because you couldn't see me or judge me or look at me like that. Like what? Like, Stephanie gestured helplessly. Like I'm something worth looking at. And I don't know what to do with that because no one's ever looked at me like that before. James reached up. His arm was shaky but determined, and cupped her cheek with his hand. "You must have been with blind people all your life," James said, and her breath hitched at the quiet fury beneath his words. "Get used to it," he added, "because I can't stop looking at you, Stephanie, and I don't want to." Stephanie's heart felt like it might burst out of her chest. "We should finish your shower," she whispered. "We should," James agreed. But neither of them moved. The moment stretched between them, full of possibility and tension, and something neither of them was ready to name yet. Finally, Stephanie stepped back. "Turn around," she said. "I need to rinse your back." James smiled, but obeyed. That evening, after Stephanie had left for the night, Eleanor came into James's room. "We need to talk," she said. "About? About what I did, getting you married while you were unconscious." James set down the book he'd been trying to read. "I thought we've talked about it already." Eleanor sat in Stephanie's usual chair. "You mean you yelling about it? Not the same thing. I should apologize." "I was wrong," she said simply. "I was so scared of losing you that I convinced myself arranging this marriage was the right thing to do. But it wasn't my choice to make, James. It was yours. And I took that choice away from you. I'm sorry." James was quiet for a moment. "I appreciate the apology," he said. "But Mom, you can't ever do something like that again. Do you understand? My life. My choices. I understand." "Good." James paused. "That being said, I'm not mad about the result." Eleanor looked up, hope in her eyes. "You're not? Stephanie is—" James struggled to find the words. "She's incredible. She's strong and fierce, and she doesn't let anyone push her around. But she's also vulnerable and shy, and she gets flustered when I look at her. I've known her for a week, and I can't imagine my life without her in it." "You're falling for her," Eleanor said softly. "I think I already fell," James admitted. "The moment I opened my eyes and saw her face, it was like everything made sense. Like I'd been waiting my whole life to wake up and find her there." Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. "Oh, sweetheart. Is that crazy? To fall for someone this fast?" "Your father and I got engaged after knowing each other for 6 weeks," Eleanor said. "Sometimes you just know. And James, Stephanie looks at you the same way you look at her. She barely looks at me at all. Because she's scared. She's never had anyone choose her before. Everyone in her life has either abandoned her or used her. Be patient with her. Show her you're not going anywhere." "I will," James promised. Meanwhile, Derek sat in his car in the parking garage of Houston Methodist Hospital. Again. It was 11 p.m. He'd been watching the security patterns for 3 nights. He knew when the guards made their rounds. He knew which nurse station had blind spots. He knew exactly how to get to Captain Monroe's room undetected. In his pocket was the stolen key card and a small knife. In his mind was a desperate plan. If Captain Monroe passed away, the marriage would be void eventually. Stephanie would be vulnerable. She'd need help. She'd have to turn to Derek. He was freaking out. He had heard the news of James regaining consciousness, but he was banking on the fact that James still had to be incredibly weak physically, having been comatose for months. If he was strong and healthy like he was prior to the coma, Derek knew he had no chance against him even asleep. But he had a higher chance of taking him down now. The best time would have been when he was still comatose, but the security around him had tightened mysteriously a week ago. Now was his second best time. It made sense in his desperate, grieving mind. He just had to make sure Monroe stayed asleep. Permanently. Derek checked his watch. 2:47 a.m. tomorrow. That's when he'd make his move. He just had to stay here till that time. Stephanie stayed late that night. James had been restless, and she'd offered to sit with him. "Tell me about foster care," James said. "Why?" "Because I want to know you. All of you. Even the painful parts." So Stephanie told him. About the homes that were kind and the ones that were cruel. About never having anything that was truly hers. About learning to fight for everything. About the constant fear of not being wanted. "And then you found the Thompson family," James said. "And realized that biology doesn't make someone family," Stephanie finished. "The Thompsons share my DNA, but they never treated me like I belonged. But your family?" She smiled. "Your mom brings me coffee, Your dad asks about my day. Your grandfather tells me embarrassing stories about you as a kid. They made me feel like family in 2 weeks when the Thompsons couldn't do it in 3 months. They love you, James said simply. I love them too. What about me? James asked simply. Stephanie's breath caught. What about you? Do you… James hesitated. Do you think you could ever feel that way about me? Not just gratitude or obligation, but actually care about me? Stephanie looked at him, really looked at him, at the vulnerability in his eyes, at the hope, at the fear of rejection she understood all too well. James, she said softly, I already care about you. So much it scares me. Why does it scare you? Because everyone I've ever cared about has left, and I don't think I could handle it if you left too. James reached for her hand. I'm not going anywhere, he said firmly. Do you hear me, Stephanie? I'm not leaving. Not now. Not ever. You can't promise that. Watch me. James squeezed her hand. You fought for me when I couldn't fight for myself. Now it's my turn to fight for you. For us. Stephanie's eyes filled with tears. I should go, she whispered. It's late. Stay, James said. Please, just a little longer. So Stephanie stayed, holding his hand, both of them falling asleep like that. Neither of them knowing that in just a few hours everything would change. Because Derek Williams was coming, and he was desperate enough to do anything. 2:47 a.m., Houston Methodist Hospital. The third-floor hallway was silent except for the hum of medical equipment and the soft squeak of the night nurse's shoes as she made her rounds. Agnes O'Connor had been a nurse for 30 years. She knew when something was wrong, and right now, something was very wrong. She heard it first, a soft shuffling sound coming from room 318, Captain Monroe's new room. Agnes walked quickly down the hallway, her heart beginning to race. Through the small window in the door, she saw a figure in dark clothes and a baseball cap standing over Captain Monroe's bed, holding a pillow over his head. Hey! Agnes shouted, slamming her hand on the door. The figure spun around, eyes wide with panic. Agnes hit the emergency button on her radio. Security! Intruder in room 318, third floor. I need backup now. The intruder bolted for the door, trying to push past Agnes. She was 53 years old and barely 5 feet tall. But she'd dealt with plenty of dangerous situations in 3 decades of nursing. She grabbed his arm. Let go! The man yelled, yanking free. His baseball cap fell off in the struggle. Agnes got a clear look at his face. Young, mid-20s, with wild, desperate eyes. He shoved her aside and ran for the stairwell just as security guards came running from both directions. Stairwell, Agnes pointed. Black hoodie, about 6 feet tall. 2 guards took off after him while a third helped Agnes up. Are you okay, ma'am? I'm fine. Check on Captain Monroe. Agnes rushed into room 318. Captain James Monroe was awake, sitting up in bed looking confused and alert. What's going on? James asked, his voice still rough from weeks of barely using it. Someone was in your room, Agnes said, quickly checking his oxygen line. They were about to squish you with a pillow. James's eyes widened. What? Who? I don't know. Security is chasing them now. Agnes checked his vitals. Are you okay? Did they hurt you? I'm fine. I just woke up when I heard shouting. Agnes' hands shook as she secured his oxygen line properly. If I'd been 2 minutes later… But you weren't, James said firmly. I'm okay. You saved my life. Down in the stairwell, security had cornered the intruder on the second-floor landing. Don't move, the guard shouted. But Derek Williams wasn't thinking rationally anymore. He tried to run, slipped on the stairs, and crashed hard into the wall. By the time security reached him, he was on the ground, his nose bleeding, sobbing. I wasn't going to hurt him, Derek kept saying. I just needed Stephanie to understand. I just needed help. My dad is dying. I just needed help. The guards cuffed him and called the police. Within 15 minutes, Houston Police Department had arrived, and within 20 minutes, someone had called Stephanie. But before we see what happens next, let me take you back to show you how we got here. If you missed episode 1, go watch it now because this conclusion is going to blow your mind. For everyone else, buckle up. This is where everything comes together. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell because you do not want to miss how this story ends. 3:47 a.m. Stephanie's hotel room. Stephanie's phone rang, jerking her out of a deep sleep. She grabbed it, her heart already pounding. Calls at 3 a.m. were never good news. Her heart raced as she thought of James. Was he okay? Hello? Mrs. Monroe? This is Detective Rodriguez with Houston PD. There's been an incident at the hospital involving your husband. Stephanie was out of bed before he finished the sentence. Is James okay? He's fine. But someone broke into his room tonight. We need you to come down to the hospital and answer some questions. I'm on my way. Stephanie threw on clothes and was in her car within 3 minutes, driving through empty Houston streets with her hands shaking on the steering wheel. Someone tried to hurt James. Someone broke into his room. Was it Gwen? Diana? One of the Thompsons trying to end the marriage by ending James? She made it to the hospital in record time and ran to the 3rd floor. Eleanor and William were already there, standing outside James's room with 2 police officers. What happened? Stephanie demanded. Someone broke in around 2:47 a.m., Eleanor said, her voice shaking. The night nurse caught them tampering with James's oxygen line. Stephanie's blood ran cold. He's fine, William assured her. The nurse stopped them before they could do any real harm. Who was it? Detective Rodriguez stepped forward. That's what we need to ask you about, Mrs. Monroe. We have the suspect in custody. We'd like you to identify him. They led Stephanie to a security office where they pulled up the footage. Stephanie watched the figure approach James's room, watched the nurse intervene, watched the baseball cap fall off during the struggle. When they froze the frame on the intruder's face, Stephanie's whole body went cold. Derek, she whispered. You know him? Detective Rodriguez asked. He's my ex-boyfriend. Stephanie's voice shook with rage. Where is he? In custody downstairs. Mrs. Monroe, has Mr. Williams threatened you or your husband before? Yes. He tried to have me taken on my wedding day. He's been harassing me for weeks, demanding I help him pay his father's medical bills. I blocked his number, but he kept finding ways to contact me. Why didn't you report this? I didn't think he'd actually... Stephanie's voice broke. I didn't think he'd try to hurt James. We're charging him with breaking and entering, attempted assault, stalking, and harassment, Detective Rodriguez said. But we need you to press charges and agree to testify. Absolutely, Stephanie said without hesitation. I want him prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Good. We'll need you to make a formal statement. After Stephanie finished with the police, she finally went to James's room. He was sitting up in bed, looking tired but alert. When he saw her, his whole face changed. Stephanie, he said, relief evident in his voice. She walked straight to him and, without thinking, wrapped her arms around him. James immediately hugged her back, one hand coming up to cradle the back of her head. I'm okay, he murmured. I'm okay. He tried to hurt you because of me, Stephanie said against his shoulder. This is my fault. No. James pulled back to look at her. This is Derek's fault, not yours. Do you understand? But, Stephanie, James cupped her face in his hands. Derek made his own choices. You are not responsible for his actions. Stephanie's eyes filled with tears. I was so scared. When they called and said something happened to you, I thought, I'm fine, James said softly. I'm right here. He pulled her into another hug, and this time Stephanie let herself break down. All the fear, all the stress, all the emotion of the past month came pouring out, and James held her through all of it. When she finally calmed down, Stephanie pulled back, embarrassed. I'm sorry, she said, wiping her eyes. I didn't mean to fall apart on you. Don't apologize, James said. You're allowed to have feelings, Stephanie. I got your hospital gown all wet. I have like 6 more, it's fine. Despite everything, Stephanie laughed. James smiled, brushing a tear from her cheek with his thumb. There she is, he said softly. Who? The fierce woman who married a stranger in a coma and sat by his bed for 2 weeks. I was worried she'd disappeared. She's still here, Stephanie said. Just shaken. Then let me be strong for you this time, James said. You've been strong for me for weeks. Let me return the favor. Stephanie looked at him, at the determination in his eyes, at the gentle way he was holding her face, at the man who'd been awake for barely a week and was already trying to protect her. Okay, she whispered. Okay, James echoed. He pulled her down onto the bed beside him, and Stephanie curled into his side. They stayed like that until the sun came up. And for the first time in her life, Stephanie felt completely safe. Derek Williams was formally arraigned on 4 charges: breaking and entering, attempted assault, stalking, and harassment. His bail was set at $100,000. He couldn't pay it. So he sat in county jail, waiting for trial. But Derek's arrest triggered something none of them expected. A reporter who'd covered Derek's arrest started digging into the story. Why would a young man break into a hospital to attack a coma patient? The reporter found the connection to Stephanie, then to the Thompson family, then to Gwen's bet. Within 48 hours, the story broke wide open. Houston heiress orchestrated cruel bet against biological sister. The article detailed everything: Gwen's manipulation, the 9 rounds of humiliation, Derek's role, the forced marriage. It included photos of the bet contract, screenshots of text messages between Gwen and Derek, and interviews with people who'd witnessed Stephanie's treatment at the Thompson household. By noon, it was the top story in Houston. By evening, it had gone viral nationally, and by the next morning, protests had gathered outside Thompson properties. Thompson family wealthy bullies. Justice for Stephanie. Boycott Thompson Enterprises. Robert Thompson watched from his office window as his company's reputation crumbled. His phone rang. The board of directors. Robert, we need to talk about stepping down. Meanwhile, James's recovery. While the Thompson empire burned, James focused on getting stronger. Physical therapy was brutal, but he attacked it with the same determination he'd shown as a ranger. And Stephanie was there for every session. 5 more steps, Vanessa encouraged. You can do it, James. James gritted his teeth, using the parallel bars to support himself as he took one shaky step, then another. That's it, Stephanie cheered. Keep going. Easy for you to say, James panted. You're not the one whose legs feel like jelly. Stop complaining and walk, Captain. Despite the pain, James smiled. He loved when Stephanie got bossy. He made it 5 more steps before his legs gave out. Stephanie was there immediately, helping Vanessa get him back to the wheelchair. That was amazing, Stephanie said. You just walked 12 steps. 12 steps in 10 minutes, James said. I used to run marathons. And you will again, Stephanie said firmly. You just need time. I hate needing time. I know, but you're stuck with it anyway. After therapy, they had their daily chess game. It had become their routine. Physical therapy, lunch, then chess while James rested. Checkmate, Stephanie announced. James stared at the board. How do you keep doing that? I'm smarter than you. You are not smarter than me. Then why do I keep winning? Because you're a chess prodigy who's been hustling me this whole time? Stephanie laughed. I learned to play in a group home when I was 12. There was this old man who volunteered there. He taught me chess and told me it would teach me to think ahead, plan for problems before they happened. Smart man? He was. He's the reason I survived foster care with my sanity intact. Stephanie started resetting the board. Want to play again? Absolutely. I'm going to beat you eventually. Keep dreaming? As they played, James watched Stephanie's face. The way she bit her lip when she was concentrating. The way her eyes lit up when she saw a good move. The way she smiled when she was winning, which was always. What? Stephanie asked, catching him staring. Nothing. You're doing it again. Doing what? Looking at me like that. Like what? Like I'm something special, Stephanie said quietly. That's because you are something special, James said. Stephanie's cheeks flushed pink. James, you are, Stephanie. You're brilliant and strong and beautiful, and I... He stopped himself. You what? James wanted to say, I'm falling in love with you. But it was too soon. He'd only been awake for 2 weeks. So instead, he said, I'm really glad I woke up married to you. Stephanie's eyes got soft. Yeah? Yeah. I'm really glad you woke up too, Stephanie said. For a while there, I thought. Her voice cracked. I thought you might not. But I did, because I had someone worth waking up for. Stephanie looked away, clearly flustered. Your move, Captain. James smiled and moved his knight. He was going to lose this game, but he was winning something much more important. Drop a comment saying, "They're so cute." If you're loving James and Stephanie's chemistry, hit that subscribe button because things are about to get even more intense. 2 weeks later, the Thompson fallout continues. Robert Thompson was forced to step down as CEO of Thompson Properties. The company's stock had dropped 60% in 2 weeks. Major clients were pulling their contracts. The board voted unanimously to remove him. Diana Thompson, already in the process of divorcing Robert to save her hide, released a statement claiming she'd had no knowledge of Gwen's cruel actions and was appalled by the treatment of her biological daughter. Nobody believed her. Daniel Thompson was fired from his position at a prominent law firm for association with scandal and bringing disrepute to the company. And Gwen? Gwen fled to Paris, but the scandal followed her. The luxury brand she'd been working for fired her within a week. Her so-called friends stopped returning her calls. Her social media was flooded with hate. She was called toxic. She was alone. Meanwhile, Stephanie received an unexpected call. "Ms. Monroe, this is Anderson and Associates. We're the attorneys handling your grandmother's estate. Is Grandma okay?" "She's fine, but she's made some changes to her will that you should be aware of. She's removed Robert, Diana, Daniel, and Gwen entirely. You are now her sole heir." Stephanie's jaw dropped. "What?" "Your grandmother owns 40% of Thompson Properties stock. When she passes, which hopefully won't be for many years, you'll inherit all of it. But she's also transferring her liquid assets to you now, approximately $4 million. Stephanie couldn't speak. "Mrs. Monroe, are you there?" Yes, I'm here. Why?" She said, and I quote, "My granddaughter deserves what's rightfully hers. The rest of them can rot." Despite everything, Stephanie laughed. That sounded exactly like Grandma Thompson. 3 weeks after Derek's attack, James was ready to go home. "Are you sure you're ready for this?" Dr. O'Connor asked James. "I've been in a hospital for 8 months, James said. "I'm beyond ready. You'll need to continue physical therapy as an outpatient, and you'll have a home health nurse checking on you 3 times a week." "I know. I've read all the discharge paperwork like 6 times. Dr. O'Connor smiled. "You're doing remarkably well, James. Most coma patients take years to recover to this level. You're walking with just a cane after 3 weeks." "I have good motivation," James said, looking at Stephanie. She blushed and looked away. "All right," Dr. O'Connor said. "You're officially discharged. Don't make me see you back here as a patient." "Yes, ma'am." Eleanor and William had prepared James's old room at the Monroe estate, but James had other plans. "I want my own place," he announced in the car. "James, you're still recovering," Eleanor protested. "Mom, I'm 32 years old. I need my independence." "What about Stephanie?" William asked from the driver's seat. "Where will she stay?" James looked at Stephanie, who was sitting next to him in the back seat. "That's up to her," he said. "She can stay with you, or—" He took a breath. "Or she can come with me, if she wants." Stephanie's heart raced. "You want to live together?" "We're married," James pointed out. "Seems like the logical next step." "Logical," Stephanie repeated, trying not to smile. "Okay, fine. Stephanie Monroe, will you do me the honor of moving in with me so we can figure out this weird backward marriage we have?" "When you put it that way," Stephanie said, "how can I refuse?" Eleanor and William exchanged knowing looks in the front seat. Their son was head over heels. They chose one of the properties James had bought months before coma, a beautiful townhouse in Montrose that had been recently renovated. 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, a small backyard with a beautiful garden, and close to Rice University where Stephanie would start classes in the fall. Moving in together was an adjustment. James was still recovering, which meant he tired easily and sometimes got frustrated when his body wouldn't do what his brain told it to do. Stephanie was used to living alone, which meant she had to learn to share space, compromise, and let someone see her at her worst. They argued about stupid things. "Why did you put the dishes away wrong?" James asked one morning. "There's no wrong way to put away dishes. Glasses go on the left, plates on the right. That's basic organization." "Says who?" "Says logic." "Oh my God, are we really fighting about cabinet organization?" "Apparently." They stared at each other for a moment, then both burst out laughing. "We're insane," Stephanie said. "Completely insane," James agreed, pulling her into a hug. But they also had beautiful moments, like the first time James successfully cooked dinner for Stephanie. "It's just spaghetti," he said, setting down the plates. "It's the first meal you've cooked since waking from a coma," Stephanie corrected. "That's a big deal." The spaghetti was slightly overcooked and the sauce was from a jar, but Stephanie ate every bite. Like the night they stayed up until 3 a.m. talking about everything. His time in the army, her worst foster homes, their dreams for the future, their fears. "What's your biggest fear?" James asked as they sat on the couch. "That this isn't real," Stephanie admitted. "That I'll wake up and this will all have been a dream. The marriage, you waking up, this house, all of it. It's real," James said, taking her hand. "I'm real. This is real. I know, but sometimes I can't believe I get to have this, have you." "Stephanie," James said seriously, "I'm the lucky one. I woke up from a 7-month coma to find the most incredible woman I've ever met sitting by my bed. Do you know how rare that is?" "I'm not that incredible." "Yes, you are. You're fierce and strong, and you don't let anyone push you around. But you're also soft and kind, and you cry during commercials about dogs." "That commercial was sad? The puppy found his family?" James laughed, pulling her closer. "See? Incredible." Like the morning Stephanie woke up to find James watching her sleep. "That's creepy," she mumbled. "I was in a coma for 7 months. I'm allowed to be creepy about watching my beautiful wife sleep." Weird logic. "But you're smiling." "Shut up." He kissed her forehead. "Good morning, wife." "Good morning, husband." They were falling in love, slowly, carefully, beautifully, and both of them could feel it happening. Derek's trial was set for a Wednesday in late August. Stephanie had been dreading it for weeks. "I don't want to see him," she told James the night before. "Then don't go," James said simply. "You don't have to. The prosecutor said my testimony would help. Your written statement is enough. Stephanie, you don't owe Derek anything, not even your presence at his trial." "But no buts." James took her hands. "You've been anxious for weeks about this. I can see it. You're not sleeping. You're not eating. This is affecting you. And I don't like it. I need to face him," Stephanie said. "I need to look him in the eye and let him know he didn't break me." James studied her face. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." "Then I'm coming with you." "James, you don't have to." "Yes, I do. You're my wife. If you're facing him, you're not doing it alone." The next day, they sat in the courtroom together. James walked in with just a slight limp now. The cane was more precautionary than necessary. Derek was led in wearing an orange jumpsuit, looking thin and defeated. When he saw Stephanie sitting with James, something crumbled in his expression. "Stephanie," he said, trying to move toward her. "Please, I need to talk to you." The bailiff pushed him back. "Sit down, Mr. Williams." The trial was relatively short. The evidence was overwhelming. Security footage. The night nurse's testimony. The stolen keycard found in Derek's possession. The pages of increasingly desperate notes found in his apartment. Derek's public defender tried to argue diminished capacity due to extreme emotional distress over his father's terminal illness. But the prosecutor presented a clear case of premeditated stalking and attempted assault. When it was time for victim impact statements, both Stephanie and James stood. James went first. "I woke up from a 7-month coma to find out that someone had broken into my hospital room and tried to harm me. Not because of anything I did, but because they wanted to hurt my wife," James said, his voice steady and strong. "Derek Williams made a conscious choice to break into that hospital, to steal a keycard, to tamper with my medical equipment. Those aren't the actions of someone who made a mistake in a moment of grief. Those are the actions of someone who made calculated decisions to harm another person." Then it was Stephanie's turn. She stood, her hands shaking slightly. James squeezed her hand once before letting go. Stephanie walked to the front of the courtroom and faced Derek directly. "For 2 months, you made me believe you cared about me," she said, her voice growing stronger with each word. "You studied with me. You listened to me. You made me feel valued for the first time in my life. And it was all a lie. All of it. You were using me to help Gwen Thompson win a bet against me. Derek hung his head. When I wouldn't help you after that betrayal, you escalated, Stephanie continued. You harassed me. You tried to have me taken on my wedding day. And then you broke into a hospital room and tried to hurt my husband, a man who'd never done anything to you except marry me. I wasn't going to take his life, Derek said desperately. I just wanted... You had a pillow over his face, Stephanie interrupted, her voice hard as steel. What did you plan to do with it, pick his nose? Derek had no answer. I'm not here for revenge, Stephanie said. I'm here to tell you that you failed. You tried to break me, but I'm stronger than ever. You tried to destroy my marriage, but James and I are building something real and beautiful. She turned to the judge. Your Honor, I hope Derek gets the help he clearly needs. I hope he finds a way to deal with his pain that doesn't involve hurting others. But I also hope he faces real consequences for his choices. Because actions have consequences. And Derek Williams needs to learn that. Stephanie walked back to her seat. James took her hand and didn't let go. The judge deliberated for less than an hour. Derek Williams was sentenced to 2 years in prison, followed by 5 years of probation and mandatory mental health counseling. He was also ordered to stay at least 1,000 feet away from Stephanie, James, and the entire Monroe family. As Derek was led away, he looked at Stephanie one last time. I'm sorry, he mouthed. Stephanie just turned away. She was done with Derek Williams, done with his apologies, done with his manipulation, done. Outside the courthouse, Stephanie finally broke down. I did it, she said, leaning against James. I actually did it. You were incredible, James said, holding her tight. So strong. I don't feel strong. You are. Trust me. They stood there for a long moment, James supporting Stephanie while she processed everything. Finally, she pulled back and looked up at him. Thank you, she said. For what? For being here. For believing in me. She struggled to find the words. For being you. James cupped her face in his hands. Stephanie Monroe, he said softly. There is nowhere else I would rather be than right here with you. And then, right there on the courthouse steps, he kissed her. It was their second real kiss. The first had been weeks ago in his hospital room when she bade him goodnight. But this one was different. This one was full of promise and hope, and the beginning of something neither of them could deny anymore. When they pulled apart, both of them were smiling. Take me home, Stephanie said. Gladly. 2 months later, the big fight. It happened on a random Tuesday in October. Stephanie had stayed late at the library studying for midterms. She'd texted James that she'd be home by 9 p.m. At 11 p.m., she still wasn't home. And James was losing his mind. He'd called her 4 times. No answer. He'd texted her 6 times. No response. By the time Stephanie finally walked through the door at 11:30, James was pacing the living room like a caged animal. Where the hell have you been? He demanded. Stephanie jumped. Jesus, James, you scared me. You scared me. You said 9 p.m. It's almost midnight. My phone died and I lost track of time. You lost track of time? James's voice rose. Do you have any idea how worried I was? After everything with Derek, after someone literally broke into a hospital to hurt me because of you, you think it's okay to just disappear for 3 hours? I didn't disappear. I was at the library. I didn't know that. For all I knew, something had happened to you. So you're mad at me for studying? Stephanie's own anger flared. I'm sorry I'm not at your beck and call every second of every day. That's not what I... James ran his hand through his hair, frustrated. Stephanie, you can't just go dark for 3 hours and expect me not to worry. I'm an adult, James. I don't need to check in with you every 5 minutes. That's not what I'm asking for. Then what are you asking for? Stephanie shouted. I'm asking you to be careful, James shouted back. I'm asking you to answer your phone when I call. I'm asking you to not walk alone across campus at 11 p.m. when there's a man in prison who wants to hurt you. I can take care of myself. I know you can, but you shouldn't have to. James's voice cracked. Stephanie, I was in a coma for 7 months. 7 months I'll never get back. And now that I'm finally awake, finally able to be with you, the thought of something happening to you. He stopped, his hands shaking. Stephanie's anger evaporated. James, I can't lose you. James said quietly. I know that's not fair. I know you survived 24 years without me, but I can't lose you. Stephanie? I can't. Stephanie walked over to him slowly. You're not going to lose me, she said softly. You don't know that. Yes, I do, because I'm not going anywhere. She took his hands. I'm sorry I scared you. You're right. I should have found a way to call, or left earlier, or been more careful. I'm sorry I yelled, James said. I'm sorry I yelled back. They stood there for a moment, both of them breathing hard. I've never had anyone worry about me before, Stephanie admitted. Not like this. It's taking some getting used to. It feels so unreal. I've never cared about someone this much before, James said. It's terrifying. Yeah? Yeah. Stephanie looked up at him. James, I love you, James blurted out. Stephanie froze. I love you, James repeated, more confidently this time. I'm in love with you, Stephanie. I have been for weeks, maybe since the moment I woke up and saw you standing there. And I know it's fast and weird and we did everything backward, but I don't care. I love you. Stephanie's eyes filled with tears. Say something, James said nervously. Please. I love you too, Stephanie whispered. What? I love you too, James Monroe. Stephanie laughed through her tears. I've been too scared to say it, but I do. I love you so much it terrifies me. James pulled her into his arms and kissed her deeply. When they finally pulled apart, both of them were crying. Don't ever scare me like that again, James said. I promise. No more going dark for 3 hours. Thank you. But James? Yeah? You have to trust that I can take care of myself sometimes. I know you want to protect me, but I'm not fragile. I survived foster care, the Thompson family, and sitting by your hospital bed for 2 weeks not knowing if you'd ever wake up. I'm strong. I know you are, James said. That's one of the things I love most about you. I need you to meet me halfway. Let me protect you sometimes. Let me worry about you. Let me love you. Okay, Stephanie agreed. But you have to let me love you back. That means letting me take care of you when you're frustrated with physical therapy. Letting me worry about you. Letting me be your partner, not just someone you protect. Deal, James said. They sealed it with another kiss. And for the first time, both of them said, I love you, and meant it with their whole hearts. 4 months later, the Thompson family got justice served to them on a hot plate. Robert Thompson was arrested for tax fraud and embezzlement. It turned out he'd been hiding money from the IRS for years. The scandal made national news. He was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison. Diana Thompson, now divorced and broke, had to stoop to sell her jewelry to afford a small apartment. All her society friends abandoned her. She tried reaching out to Stephanie once. I'm your mother, Diana said on the voicemail. Surely you can find it in your heart to help me. Just a small loan? Stephanie deleted the message without listening to the rest. Daniel Thompson, unable to find work in Houston, moved to Phoenix and took a job as a paralegal, a massive step down from his former position. And Gwen? Gwen tried to come back to Houston 6 months after fleeing to Paris. She showed up at the townhouse Stephanie shared with James. Stephanie opened the door to find her former sister standing there, looking thin and tired. What do you want, Gwen? Stephanie asked. I need help, Gwen said quietly. I'm broke. I have nowhere else to go. I'm sorry for everything I did. Please, Stephanie. We're family. No, Stephanie said simply. We're not family. Family doesn't torture each other for fun. Family doesn't make bets about destroying someone's life. Family doesn't force someone to marry a stranger. I made mistakes. You made choices, Gwen, and choices have consequences. Stephanie started to close the door. Good luck, you're going to need it. She shut the door in Gwen's face. James appeared behind her. You okay? Yeah, Stephanie said. I'm okay. That must have been hard. It was easier than I thought it would be. Stephanie turned to face him. She thought I'd help her because she's my biological sister, but she was never my family. You are. Eleanor and William and General Monroe are. Even Vanessa and Dr. O'Connor feel more like family than Gwen ever did. James pulled her into his arms. I love you. I love you too. They never heard from Gwen again. Last anyone heard, she was working at a call center in Tulsa, living in a studio apartment, and had deleted all her social media. The mighty had fallen. And Stephanie felt no guilt about it. They'd chosen their own paths. 6 months after James woke up, his colleagues threw a lavish party to welcome him back. Stephanie felt different degrees of shyness and pride as James tirelessly introduced her to almost everyone present. He was proud to have her as his wife. There was no doubting it. And it was something so unusual for Stephanie tears came to her eyes each time he said, "Have you met my wife? Her name's Stephanie. She's practically the Princess Charming that pulled me out of my beauty sleep." He walked now completely without a cane, beaming with pride. Eleanor and William sat by side, beaming with pride. Grandma Thompson was there in her wheelchair, looking proud as could be. Food and drinks overflowed, and just as people were inebriated enough to start dancing shamelessly, Eleanor hugged Stephanie tight. "We're so proud of you, sweetheart." "Thank you for believing in me," Stephanie said. "Thank you for loving our son." As the celebration continued, James pulled Stephanie aside to a quiet corner. "I have something for you," he said. "James, you've already given me so much. Just open it." He handed her a small velvet box. Inside was a beautiful ring. Not a wedding ring, but an anniversary ring with a row of small diamonds. "We got married in a hospital chapel while I was in a coma," James said. "You deserved so much better than that. No proposal, no celebration, none of the things you should have had. So I wanted to give you this and ask properly." He got down on one knee, something that would have been impossible just months ago. "Stephanie Marie Monroe," James said, looking up at her with those dark eyes she loved so much. "Will you marry me again? For real this time? With a real wedding and dancing and cake and all the things you never got the first time? Will you let me stand at an altar under my own power and say vows while looking into your eyes? Will you give me the honor of doing this right?" Stephanie was crying. "We're already married." "I know, but I want to do it again, the right way. I want to give you the wedding you deserved. What do you say?" "Yes." Stephanie laughed through her tears. "Yes, let's get married again." James slipped the ring on her finger and stood, pulling her into a kiss. The crowd that had gathered erupted in cheers. Eleanor was sobbing happy tears. William was recording on his phone. Grandma Thompson was yelling, "About time!" And Stephanie and James just laughed, holding each other, planning their future. They got married on a perfect Saturday in January at a garden venue in Houston. The weather was mild, 65 degrees and sunny. Stephanie wore a stunning wedding dress, nothing like the simple one Eleanor had provided for the hospital wedding. This one was elegant, with lace sleeves and a flowing train. She looked like a queen. James stood at the altar in his dress military uniform, every medal he'd ever earned displayed on his chest. He looked like a hero. When Stephanie walked down the aisle, this time actually walking, not wheeling James in, James practically drank her in with his eyes. "You're beautiful," he whispered when she reached him. "You're not so bad yourself, Captain." This time, when they said their vows, both of them were conscious. Both of them were healthy. Both of them knew exactly what they were promising. "I, James Daniel Monroe, take you, Stephanie Marie Monroe. Yes, you already have my name." "This is weird." The crowd laughed. "To be my wife. Again. For real this time. I promise to love you when you beat me at chess, which is always. To support your dreams, even when they scare me. To let you be strong while still protecting you when you need it. And to spend every day grateful that I woke up from a coma and found you waiting for me." Stephanie was crying. "I, Stephanie Marie Monroe, take you, James Daniel Monroe, to be my husband. Again. For real this time. Though it was always real to me. I promise to love you when you're stubborn, which is often. To challenge you when you need it. To let you protect me while still being your equal partner. And to spend every day grateful that you woke up and gave us a chance." When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, for the second time, everyone laughed and cheered. And when James kissed Stephanie, he scooped her into his arms like she weighed nothing, making everyone applaud even louder. At the reception, during their first dance, James held Stephanie close. "Happy?" he asked. "Happier than I've ever been." Stephanie said. Me too. I love you, James. I love you too, Stephanie. Thank you for fighting for me when I couldn't fight for myself. Thank you for waking up and giving me everything I never knew I needed. They kissed again as their family and friends celebrated around them. And in that moment, everything was perfect. 1 year later, Stephanie graduated from Rice University with a degree in social work. James returned to work as a police training instructor, a less dangerous role that still let him serve his community. Grandma Thompson lived to see her 96th birthday and left everything to Stephanie, including 40% of Thompson Properties stock, making Stephanie one of the largest shareholders of a company her biological grandfather had built. She immediately used her voting power to transform the company's mission, focusing on affordable housing and community development. Robert Thompson served his full sentence and was released a bitter, broken man. Diana Thompson moved to Florida and was never heard from again. Daniel Thompson eventually rebuilt his career in Phoenix, but never spoke to the rest of his family again. Gwen sent one email months later, a simple, "I'm sorry," but Stephanie saved it without responding. Derek Williams served his sentence and was released after 2 years. He moved to Oklahoma, got a job in construction, and never contacted Stephanie again. And Stephanie and James? They built a beautiful life together. Full of love and laughter and the occasional argument about dishes. They never had an easy road, but they had each other, and that made all the difference. The lesson. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the setup for the best thing that will ever happen to you. Stephanie was humiliated several times, but with one opportunity, she won everything: love, family, purpose, freedom. Because she refused to stay broken. She refused to let cruelty define her. She refused to give up. The people who rejected her did her a favor. The doors that closed protected her from rooms she was never meant to enter. The betrayals led her straight to her blessings. If you're going through something hard right now, remember Stephanie's story. Keep fighting, keep rising, keep believing, because the people who counted you out are about to be shocked by who you become. Your story isn't over. It's just getting started.